Hey, welcome to Backyard Conversations. We're back again. It's been a good summer for most people because you can tell by how long ago it's been since we recorded. As a matter of fact, Timmy's not even here right now. Somewhere, I don't know if it's backpacking across Europe, but it's somewhere in Europe. And I'm back with Dakwa. Dakwa and I have had an episode together before, and I feel like this is gonna be a recurring trend. I'm excited to have Dakwa back on the pod. Hey, Dakwa, welcome back.
How you doing? I'm
I'm
good.
nice. Uh,
Thanks. Nice to be here. Last time was in person. This time is over the interwebs, like
yeah,
we
well,
said it would be.
exactly, exactly. This is remote and back at conversations. Let's get right into it.
Yeah.
All right, so the first thing I think is worth talking about right now is sports related. Manchester United are in shambles, right? You could tell by how they performed in the first two games of the new Premier League season, which
Yeah.
has been really pathetic. One would think with a new manager, a couple of signings, there will be at least like a hint of improvement in the squad, but it seems like they're either where they left off from last season or even worse off. There's no sign of improvement whatsoever. And they are really, really desperate in the transfer market trying to get new signings. Right now, at this point, it's almost like a red alert. And there's so much to unpack here. Um, from the performance on the pitch to maybe them looking for a buyer, and also the conversation about Elon Musk. Just tweeting about the club. What did you hear about this?
So um, Man U has always struck me as the type of club that they've gotten so used to such a long legacy of success in the Premier League and even in Europe that whenever they take serious L's like this, which is like breakfast in Premiership. Everybody go chop am. So whenever they take serious L's like this, the wailing is like out of this world. I actually feel some sympathy for MU because it's a team that I actually like to see win, even though it's not the team that I support in the Premiership. Go Gunners.
The Arsenal, I
um,
see.
yeah. So it was just amusing to me to see them take such a beating and then to see not just the beating, but to now see the reaction to it. That was just crazy. Like it was like, nah, people could not deal. Um, and then Elon basically just came and just threw. Like I don't think Elon has ever tweeted anything about soccer, football. So it's like something is trending, he'll just pick it up and just just troll everybody. But it's also the kind of thing that, like, if he wasn't trolling, if he was being serious, I actually would not be like legit surprised because at this point, it's like, can he really surprise us anymore? You know, it was just an interesting sequence of events.
Yeah, I think Elon could easily be described as a billionaire menace. He tweets, he gets in trouble with the FTC every time he tweets something that affects the market or Tesla stock price or whatever. He's like that problematic child with a lot of money. And right now the tweet has currently like 850K likes. Just to show you the pool that the Manchester United name has on a global scale, I think it is easily the most supported club in the world. Maybe it's competing
Yeah.
somewhere with Real Madrid, or it's gonna
Hmm.
be up there, right? And this got a lot of supporters excited. And if you go back to that tweet, you realize that he's like, he's kidding. He's not buying Manchester United. Then he goes on to thread about how neither am I buying Coca-Cola and putting the cocaine back inside either, right? Because this is something he's tweeted in the
Yeah.
past. Um, and so it's one of those things where you can see how much impact this guy has, and also the followership that Manchester United has, that they would you know ha- put so much focus on this man's tweet. I mean, although he did say was his favorite club as a kid, and if there will be anything
Oh,
that
okay. He said
that he would
that.
buy, yeah. It's like others. There were any team, it would be Man U. They were my favorite team as a kid, and I'm guessing this kid growing up in South Africa probably saw a few Premier League matches with Man U running the show, and fell in love with the club. But
Yeah.
Elon is just one factor. Like he's the one that went viral about this whole Man U thing. But Man U are in a very very messy place right now because they've always been a club where footballers know if they can get in, they can cash out because they've
Not
always
not just cash out, but like, yeah, cash out is one thing, but you also like raise their profile, right?
but not in the past
Because
decade
like,
though.
yeah, like because you want to have played or at least had a significant part of your career in the same club as, like, the club has a legacy, right? And so anytime anybody who joins that club, like, it's become some sort of like a Harvard. Like there's this prestige of, I mean, there's many other Premier League, not many other, but a bunch of the top Premier League clubs, popular ones, have that prestige, so to speak. But like Man U is like the one with it, it's got that it factor going for it. But like you said, not in the past 10 years.
Yeah, I
So
mean, yeah.
every and there's people out there like who like, in their 40s, in their 50s, who for whom um the glory days of, you know, Man U are still very vivid memories. And so they're like, man, they don't want to see this.
You know, it's one of those things. The reason why I said cash out is like you find it hard to see players who like, how to say you play for the badge. The kind of
Mm-hmm.
passion footballers show. Like every time I watch Bukayo Saka play for Arsenal, like he's fighting for his position, even though there doesn't seem to be much competition for his role right now in the team. But he plays like
Yeah.
he owns, playing out wide for the Arsenal. But Man United
Mm-hmm.
just has players who they're almost like mercenaries, They really don't want to. They really don't want to show up. It's so unfortunate now because they're desperate and there's like asking everybody like, do you want to come? Do you want to come? And Man U are not in Champions League, so high profile players are not
Mm-hmm.
gonna go there until they're in the Champions League because it's very difficult. That's why Ronaldo's been looking for a way out. Like he just wants to run away because it's like the UCL money is so attractive. Like the bonus, however much money they make, it's a lot of money. And so it's one of those
Yeah.
things where they're just like throwing everything at the wall to see what sticks. Today they're linked with Casemiro from Real Madrid. Tomorrow they're linked with Rabiot from um what's it called? Juventus, which I think that one has fallen apart now. But yeah, so they're in a very, very desperate place and it'd be very hard to find people who actually want to play for the club in its current states, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, moving on from Man U
And
though. Okay, sorry, go ahead. Yeah, I have one more thing to
yeah,
say.
I was gonna say like, what player outside? I mean, they brought to Ronaldo, and that didn't seem to, like, move the needle. So it's like, what player or what set of players from outside the club can the club bring in to turn things around? Um, like it's almost like they're having to build back or they are going to have to build back the club from
Yep, yep.
from the bottom.
Yeah, the
Um,
former manager of Rani said the club needs open heart surgery. It's like you're gonna need 10 signings, right? It's just not
Damn.
a case of buying one or two players. You have to revamp your entire team. So sure, there's Lisandro Martinez, there's Bruno Fernandez, which people kind of assume he's gonna be a leader, but lately he's been just really off his game. He's messy. Um,
Mm,
not like Messi the player, but Messi with a Y, right?
I know.
um,
I know.
yeah, then there's Malacia who just got signed, and there's not too many players. Jadon Sancho plays out wide. There's not a lot of players who I think for me the metric, the bar to figure out how good United players are will they start for the current opposition, like in the top four, top five. So will a Man U player
Mm.
walk into Man City right now? Will they walk into Liverpool's team and start? Will they even walk into the Arsenal or Spurs, right, or Chelsea? If they cannot enter the starting 11 in those teams, they're not good enough.
Yeah, well, the question would then be, who would they be replacing? Because those teams are pretty stacked.
Oh yeah, they are stacked and they're in Europe. So none of them is gonna be no discerning player is gonna want to leave that team and go play. You get what I'm saying, right? You just go
Yeah,
play
yeah,
Man
I
U.
get it.
All right. Oh, that's almost 10 minutes on Man U. It's a juggernaut of a topic. I guess there should be like a section for Man U like every week when they lose 4-0. Um,
Ah, ah.
are you are you gonna be watching? um, are you gonna be watching She-Hulk though?
Definitely, definitely.
Yeah.
At this point, I'm basically hooked into the MCU IV. Uh, you know, the only thing I haven't watched yet is the new I Am Groot. It's like a series of
Yeah, I saw the shorts.
shorts stuff. Yeah, I haven't seen that yet, but it also doesn't like. It seems like something they just threw out there as just for play. It doesn't seem like something that would be essential viewing for even someone who is like a completionist like myself. However, knowing Marvel, there'll probably be like some Easter eggs there that might show up maybe inconsequentially in some future IP. And then someone somewhere, either on Twitter or on YouTube, would say, "Oh, you saw that thing in that movie. Well, they, showed a bit of it in I Am Groot." So I'm going to watch that,
Mm.
and I am going to watch She-Hulk. I saw the first trailer, and that was the one that everyone was complaining that CGI was pretty bad. And then um, I saw the second trailer. Typically, for this stuff, I like to just like see the first trailer and then that's it. Um, but these days, Marvel seems to be even spoiling their own things. So uh, when they put out trailers, you start seeing things that like can count as spoilers for some of the stuff that is going to be in it.
I
So
see.
I saw the second trailer because there will be like fixing of the what do you call it of the CGI. So after seeing the second trailer, I was like, okay, yeah, this looks good. It looks better, blah blah blah. And I'm interested to see it. It has all the things that you expect: the humor, the comic book the inspiration of all them breaking the fourth wall and a bunch of all that. The funny
Yeah.
thing about it is that I still think the CGI like it still looks kind of off, and I don't know why or what it is because for some reason, um, Hulk himself, which is played by Mark Ruffalo, like
Mm.
when he's in the Hulk form, he still looks like Mark Ruffalo. And
Yep.
the Hulk form of Mark Ruffalo is like much larger than the Hulk form of what's her name? Um her name just escaped my
This
head right now.
She-Hulk lady.
Yeah, the actress.
Oh yeah, I don't
So
know.
it's like I know like of course they've been using the CG models for Hulk since the first Avengers movie. So they've had time to refine it. And then this is like her first outing.
Yeah.
But because the character is much closer in size and form to the actress, when you as compared to, Mark Ruffalo's Bruce Banner's Hulk,
Mm.
um, I'm worried as to why there's still that huge disparity between the actress and the CGI Hulk form.
I see.
Like for instance, now one of the things that I even think is funny is, and I have a feeling that it was done intentionally and might be played off for laughs, is that her hair is like short and frizzy when she's in a human form, and then when she's in a Hulk form, it's like long and flowy. And it's
Yeah.
like, does being a Hulk, give you a hairdo, gamma
I see.
radiation hairdo?
That was a
But yeah,
nice
it'll
catch.
be right. It'll be fun to watch. I think the first episode has come out. Uh, and the funny another thing I was thinking about the other day was just how when streaming like basically hit the became the main way most people consume TV content was that everyone was like, oh, okay, like it was the death of serialized TV, as in watch an episode this week, watch an episode next week.
Yeah.
But Disney just came out with the whole an episode a week but you're still watching it on a streaming service via the internet, and that is still like working. Because
That
what it
works for
now
me.
does is that,
Yeah.
yeah, because it creates like build up to the next episode, and it has done so for all of the MCU shows that they have released so far. And I think it even did that for, Mandalorian. It did that for a bunch
Yep.
of other things. So,
Loki was the same thing.
um, yeah. So, I think that weekly thing is here to stay. People will be talking about She-Hulk for the next, 5, 6 weeks. I think it's 6 episodes. So,
I see.
I look forward to seeing it and catching fun.
Man, honestly, a couple of things like I was going to touch on that. Like when you mentioned Groot and you talked about there's the possibility that there could be like an Easter egg for another like Marvel show or movie
Hmm?
in an entire like timeline or whatever. And it's it's just like one day we have to talk about the current mess that is DC on this pod and
Uh,
how difficult it's been for them um to try and keep their IP on the same wavelength, especially now that Batfleck is coming back. But that's a whole different topic. The second thing I was going to touch on was the size of She-Hulk. And by the way, the actor's name is Tatiana Maslany.
yes,
Um,
Tatiana Maslany.
and so it's the size thing. I'm looking at the green version of her character, and it's like, yeah, if you make that too robust or big in the female form, I think it's gonna look really really bad. Maybe not in
Oh, so
2D.
she's not supposed to look, she's like, even in the comics, she's not supposed to be
Yeah,
as big as, as Bruce is. She's
yeah,
supposed to still look relatively, in fact, relatively close to like her normal human form.
yeah.
Just just a bit taller, a bit more muscled.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's basically like the kind of thing you can see a real person being, right? And then that real person being painted green, which was the approach they did to the first ever live action Hulk, where they just replaced the actor playing Bruce Banner with another actor playing the Hulk, and the person who's playing the Hulk is like a much bigger, buffer guy, and then he has green body paint on. So that
Is that Lou
looks like the kind
Ferrigno?
of thing.
I think it was Lou Ferrigno, right?
What? Yeah,
Or is it
yeah,
is it Ferrigno? Probably Ferrigno. I think yeah. But anyway, I remember that. Yeah, and he was always yelling with green paint on his face. Yeah, it's Ferrigno. Um, so yeah, She-Hulk. Definitely. I don't know about definitely, but I will be watching. I think I would watch Groot before I watch She-Hulk. But the the
yeah.
the other thing I was gonna mention is the whole serialized format. I love it. HBO also does it very very well,
Hmm.
and now with the House of Dragon coming out later this month, House of the Dragon, I think is what it's called. We will definitely talk about it here because it's something I'm excited about. And now that Game of Thrones is also re-released in 4K, so I essentially started watching Game of Thrones again. I just finished the 6th season. I have just 2 seasons left, and I guess my objective at the end of this rewatch is to prove that the show is misunderstood and the ending is not as bad as people make it to be. But maybe until when I'm done watching it, that's when I'll share my thoughts on that. But for now, it's rewatching it has been so good. The scale, the
Yeah.
performances, everything is just there's really nothing like Game of Thrones on television. It's so good.
So the thing is, it's like it's one of those things where it's now being more remembered for tanking the ending
Mhm.
than it is for how good it was for the 7, 8 seasons that it aired. Um, and I think that final season ended like the plot ended the way it was supposed to end. I liked the way the plot ended. It's just that the execution was bad.
It
Like
felt
there were
rushed.
things that, yeah, there were things that just like jumped from point A to point, C or to point F or something. And that could have been fixed with um, better writing, and maybe if they had added 1 or 2 more episodes in between, some plot points to make some things flow better. You know, I don't know. I don't have as much enthusiasm for this House of Dragons prequel. So I guess I'll just be going off of what people say it is before I jump in.
Yeah, it's gonna be competing directly with Amazon's Lord of the Rings, and I heard something interesting recently about when they were writing for this Lord of the Rings, which is now the most expensive TV show of all time. I really hope it's not money wasted.
Whoa.
Uh, um, they contacted Peter Jackson to see if he was interested in coming on board on board the project, and he said, "Sure, why not?" And then they ghosted him. And so I'm curious to see if the reason is because the studio,
Really?
yeah, maybe it was a studio or it was a Tolkien family. Because there's a bit of you know, back and forth, and people are contemplating if it was a studio thing or if it was a Tolkien family thing, but we don't know. But Peter Jackson came out and said, yeah, he was ghosted. They never got back to him. He was waiting for a script and it never came.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
so
crazy. Like,
yeah,
I'm surprised that that would happen. Because I mean, he did so well on the
on
original
the
trilogy.
trilogy
He did
and
so
then the
well
Hobbit.
on Hobbit.
Yeah.
Although I didn't like, I liked the first Hobbit. I didn't like the second and third as much.
Mm.
But altogether, I mean, he did pretty good for that IP. And I mean, if you think about how thick those books are and how difficult it is to like do take um, written IP and do it in film.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of the better entries. You know, people almost always complain that, oh yeah, the film is not as good as the book, film is not as good as the book. But I mean, first of all, it's Lord of the Rings, so that's like already a high bar. And then he now did it and did it pretty well. So that they would do that to him is, is surprising.
Yeah, it's really surprising. We can move on to a bit of tech right now and talk about Samsung's new drops. And Samsung has really been betting on, like foldable devices being the next best thing. That they're at some point going to replace the candy bar style of smartphones we're already used to, and they have refused to drop the price points on these really expensive devices because I can imagine it's super expensive to make these foldable things, right? And it makes me question how soon we're gonna get to the point where a foldable device will be able to compete with the candy bar style in terms of pricing. I think it was the Z Flip and the Fold that they launched, the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip and
Yeah,
the Fold. Yeah. So what's your take? Have you seen reviews? Have you
yeah, I've seen like a bunch of. I mean, I watched the highlight reel of the what's it called of the
launch event?
launch event, and then um, saw a bunch of like first impressions and review videos. I liked the flip more than I liked the fold. So the flip is
Vertical?
it's the flip phone style, right?
Yeah.
And then the fold is the one that like folds open to a much larger like tablet side
Yeah.
style display. And I think when they went from Flip 2 to Flip 3, that was the one that like really made it, very neat. Like the one and the two still looked like experimental, products, but the three was like really solid. And so the four is basically a refinement of everything they got right with the
Mm.
three. Um, I don't think there's going to be any cancellation of candy bar. I think both things can coexist.
Mhm.
It just gives people more options of preference and whatnot. Um, and of course, like there's that satisfying feeling of maybe you finished using your phone or you finished taking a call and you just close it shut or whatever.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
the price point is flagship phone price point,
Two
and
thousand
they are
dollars.
putting well, if you max out an iPhone Pro Max, you're probably going to hit that amount as well. Um,
I guess.
so, and they're putting like flagship specs inside, right? So they're not like taking any compromises. I mean, generally speaking, the prices of flagships across all OEMs is relatively already high.
Yeah.
But since everyone else is already at that price point, including Samsung themselves, then if they're going to release a flagship spec phone that has the additional, mechanical complexity of folding open and shut, and you basically have to build it to last that open and close thing thousands of times, uh, then I guess they are within their rights to charge. And things like that, when it's new, it's expensive, and then with time it comes down in price. That's if it gets popular enough for other OEMs to now say they want to make flip, smartphones as well. I think Motorola made one, but there wasn't that much hype about it. They tried to like resuscitate the Razer brand, but that didn't really take because Motorola has been basically out of the game for a while now.
For a while, I think they're currently even owned by Lenovo, if I'm not mistaken. At least the smartphone division.
Yeah.
But yeah, so what I'm really curious about is this device is, I mean, sure, the crease kind of still shows along the middle, especially with the fold, which
Mm-hmm.
which I don't want to say it's off-putting, but early days, right? It's a new device. It still has to get better, and
Mm-hmm.
and it's supposed to be a premium device. I wonder if people using it will notice that the crease is distracting at some point. Maybe not. And what I also hope at this point is that Samsung does a better job of like supporting the lifetime of the phone. Like if you're gonna spend 2,000 US on a phone, you want to get major software updates for 3 years, 4 years, maybe
Yeah,
five, right? But I think what Samsung is doing
definitely.
lately is 2 years of like OS releases and then security patches for the remaining 3 years or
Mm.
whatever, which it's not fair to the consumer, right? I would like for Samsung to really support their flagships for 5 years because these phones are not cheap, right? They cost as much as computers.
Yes, yes,
Um,
yes.
so it would be nice.
Like that support thing is um it's been an Android problem for a long time, right? I think Android 13 to just um got out and like some Google needs to actually sit down with OEM and figure out a way to move um, over the air Android updates.
Agreed.
Like they just have to figure something out. Because the model that it is now, it's like people have been back. We're on Android 13. People have been complaining about, you know, Android OS fragmentation since like 4.0. You know, so they've had more than enough time to resolve it. At least with the major OEMs, the Samsungs of the world, they should be able to figure it out. 2 years of updates is just too small, too
Yeah,
small.
it's yeah, I agree. It could be way better than it currently is, and I really want Android to get to the point where if you get a flagship, you're chilling for like 4 years, not thinking about, oh, I need to upgrade this phone right now because I don't it doesn't run the newest version of Android or whatever. No, like Google needs to figure that part out. I agree entirely.
Also, no, that's funny. The funny thing is that that's actually not what people would do. What people would do is, I spent $1,000 on this device.
Hmm.
I've used it for 2 years. I've updated the OS for 2 years, and now I'm not getting any new OS updates. So I might as well just keep using it with the most recent update I have till the wheels fall off or till I'm ready to buy another one.
Yeah,
So like them not getting software updates is not going to now kick them to go and buy the newest thing. Nah, most people won't do that. So then you then get the situation where you see a high percentage of Android devices still having older operating systems because the support doesn't continue for as long as it should.
yeah,
Oh, and then I wanted to say, like, the thing about the crease is it reminds me, like, that one is a physical and mechanical constraint. Um, from some reviews, they say it's not as,
obvious.
deep or, yeah, as obvious as previous iterations. So it means that even within the physics of it, there's some room for improvement. But I
Mm,
don't think it's the kind of thing that might go away completely. Um, unless there's some sort of change in like the actual material that's being used. And it's just going to be a minor, I think it's going to be a minor inconvenience. Anyone who likes that form factor will get used to it eventually, and after a while they'll just like learn to, ignore it. It'll not be a big deal. Kind of like how like the notch was when, the iPhone 10 first came out, and all them phones with like notches in the display and all that.
Yeah, that's actually true. So, so there's gonna be a point, where the tech eclipses the constraint, and it's gonna look much better, even if it's folding, or the crease is probably gonna disappear at some point. Um,
Mm.
Looking forward to that, and still on tech, but a bit of art mixed in between. There's a lot of AI lately that's been trying to mimic human creativity. Midjourney, Dali, and Dali 2, and it's put some artists on edge with how good these things are. What have you been observing? Have you played around with any of these this AI, and what have you seen?
So I think Dali is still closed. So um, the the beta or the test or whatever is not like accessible to the public, but Midjourney is, and I messed around with Midjourney. I mean, at first when I saw the results, um, and when the things started propping up, and I started to also see concerns of people saying, hey, this might chip into the work of professional artists and whatnot. And I mean, look here, I share some of those concerns. However, I said, you know what, I wouldn't make a value judgment, and I still shouldn't make a value judgment yet because it's kind of early. But I want to at least try this thing for myself. Um, so I did sign up for Midjourney. You actually have to do it via Discord. And
Yeah,
then, and like, there's a lot of people in them Discords, and they're all trying to, get their stuff rendered. So sometimes even when you put your prompt, like, you know, 10, 15 people have put theirs after yours, and then yours might scroll up, and so you might have to now scroll to look for yours. Anyway, so I tried it with about 4 different prompts, and there were prompts of things that I wanted to like draw and paint by myself, and I already had like a picture in my head of what the final image was going to be. And then when I tried it with as I tried to be as descriptive as I could, um, for 3 out of 4 of them, the results were like way off what I had imagined. Um, which is not like to dunk on what the thing can do, but it just goes to show that there's a very wide variety of um, outcomes, even from the same verbal description of what you're trying to get. Um, so then, like the whole, IP thing, um, I saw like some back and forth debate on Twitter where someone was complaining that some guy under the guise of who claims to be doing research was feeding the AI prompts and then also asking the AI to do it in his style, right? And the thing is, if someone is an artist that is working currently, and then you're now basically asking AI to recreate that person's art in the style of the person you would have commissioned to create the artist themselves, then that's a concern. And then you have to now start thinking about, okay, so what's the ethics of this AI thing? How far is too far? Can someone sue for this and all that? So it's a pretty interesting debate. And like with any new technology, there's going to be people who will um, misuse it, who cross ethical boundaries and whatnot. And so like people also need to be preemptive of that. But I still think, based on my own experience, there's still a significant gap between the art that AI can generate and the art that a professional artist or an artist, anyone who's like who does this type of creative output can create by themselves. Um, just because the the variety of outcomes, of imagined outcomes, is almost infinite.
Mm. Yeah, I think in all of this, with all the experimentation and the creativity behind it, modeling the model, if that's a thing, after another artist's processes and learnings that may have taken 10, 15 years, and getting some kind of machine to learn it in like 10 seconds and then replicate their work, I think that is abuse in its own way. Um, and it is
Yeah, it
worth it,
is.
it is definitely worth discussing. And I know we talked about this earlier, but I also see a future where artists may be able to upload their work in some kind of platform or service that kind of like puts some kind of geofence from all these models or whatever. Some even if it's not mainstream, I'm pretty sure someone is gonna create that because the problem already exists, right? And it might not go mainstream, but someone might try and sell you, hey, here's a new service. This is not ArtStation. This is not Flickr, if anybody still uses Flickr. But this is a place where you can post your work and you can be guaranteed that your art cannot be used in model training or whatever. I don't even know if that's a possible thing, but I feel like it could be done.
So that's going to be incredibly difficult to do because, like, in order to be able to do that, you really need to do like pixel matching. You have to basically match like pixel for pixel to record some like very, very high level of or high detail OCR. Because even in the NFT world now, there is that problem where someone who created like a piece of art or whatever and posted it on a DeviantArt or an ArtStation or whatever, and someone else goes, copies, just like saves the image, right, the JPEG, and then goes to an NFT platform and then mints that uh, art as their own and sell it for an amount. And there's none, I don't know of any of the NFT communities or any of the NFT platforms that stops that from happening on a technical level. That is, they can say, oh, okay, you know what, you're not the owner of this art, you're not the creator of this art. We've recognized this image somewhere else on the internet, and so we
Yeah,
will not let you, um, pass it off as yours and make money off it.
yeah,
So, in order to be able to do that, because I mean, there are times when I go to a website and I want to save an image, and the website has some sort of like funky script to prevent you from doing a right click or whatever. And I'm
yeah,
like, I'm not, I'm, I'm not new to this. I would do a control U. I'd search for the JPEG file. I'd search for the link. I'd look for it in the CSS and then get the image out. You know,
yeah,
so worst case scenario, if I can't find it, then I'll just like zoom in on my laptop. I mean, the web can't inhibit my ability to zoom in on my laptop, and then I can take a screenshot. And even when they try to inhibit your ability to take a screenshot, like I think Netflix is able to do that, I can also just like pick up my phone, angle my camera properly, and then take a photo of that image, and then still like edit it to make it look sharp. So there's like many ways to get around it. So even with that, you need like that very like it's a technical challenge, and I think it's something that should be considered because art theft is actually kind of a big thing.
mm,
Um, there are many times when you see art by somebody posted on like a print store and um, someone else is making money off it, or someone else is printing somebody's art on T-shirts and posters, and the original artist is even unaware, and someone else is making money off it and all that. So uh, let's see whether the AI side will be able to um, provide some sort of solution to some of those concerns.
right. That'll be definitely very useful for artists. You know, protecting your intellectual property has always been a big deal since the internet became mainstream. I mean, it's always been a big deal forever, but now where it's so easy to get your stuff jacked and replicated, this needs it needs some help. I feel like we should touch on one more topic before we wrap up. And we've been. I don't know if this summer you went out much, and everywhere you go, you like hear whether "Peace Be Unto You" or a new song by Asake, and now it's like it's in this new, it's on this new record with Fireboy DML. It's like, yo,
Yeah,
yo, and this guy's been on the underground, has been in the scene for a little bit, but I feel like 2021, 22 has been like his moment.
yeah. Like his come up is the kind of come up that one likes to see, basically, because it just happens so fast, and he seems like, at least from whatever we get, from the internet and what have you, he seems like a pretty cool fellow. Um, and he figured like he has, his formula, he has what works for him, and it just kind of resonates with the audience, it resonates with the party scene, it resonates with people, vibing to it in their headphones and whatever.
Yeah.
Um, and it's just great to see the guy, come up. I was listening to a bit of like a snippet of an interview he had, and he was like, "Oh yeah, that he had been messaging Olamide, and Olamide should help him, blah blah blah." And then one day, Olamide just called him and said, "All right, it's your time. Come join, YBNL." And then he just and and the thing is, his stuff was already at the time gaining that audience. Like people are already vibing to his stuff, and it's kind of like people say, oh, all his stuff sounds alike, but like you can say the same for almost every artist. So
Mm,
especially when his sound is now different from what you've heard every other person do. So of course, if it's just him doing what he's doing,
yeah.
and he does, like he's been putting out something like every month since his first thing dropped late last year, and
Yeah.
so on every Niger playlist, he's gonna be there. He's gonna be represented like with more than 2, 3 tracks even, which is good. I'm happy for the fella.
Yeah, I'm excited to see his come up, honestly, and YBNL should take more credit. I feel like at some point we need to sit Olamide down and ask him about all these artists, man. Like, look at Fireboy, look at Ashake. He always has something cooking, and these guys are like people who are not just mainstream type. No, they sound unique. They have their own sound. They know how to write. They know how to perform. Like, how does Olamide find these people?
Well, the truth is, I mean, talent is distributed, opportunity isn't. So
Fair.
there'll always be more people. There'll always be more people to find. Let's just hope that the people that have been found keep it up, and when it's the turn of someone new, I hope they make the best of it as well.
Hope they do. That's really what's up. All right, this has been a good backyard conversations. I feel like we touched on a lot of things, from
Yeah.
deplorable Manchester United, all the way to Ashake. So the really
Some
worldwide
birds.
worldwide episode. All right, so keep it locked in to backyard conversations. Thanks again, Deep Hands Pusher. I feel like this was a really good one, and we should do this again soon, maybe next week, and just chat.
Yeah.
All right, all right. Stay tuned to backyard
All right.
conversations. And for now, we're out.